Okay, so now we're going to write an equation when we're not actually given the graph and we're just given 2 points. So to do that, we first find the slope, just like we did when we had the graph, except we can't actually do rise over run. We have to do y2 minus y1. So we still find the slope, though. So let's label these x1, y1 and x2, y2. And if you label them differently, it really doesn't matter as long as you have the 1's together and the 2's together, and as long as you go xy, xy. You could put both 2's over here and both 1's over there. You're still going to get the same slope value eventually. So here I have 5 minus 3, and on the bottom I have 3 minus 2, and that gives me 2 over 1, which is 2. So my slope is 2. So now that I found the slope, I have to find b. So I write everything I know, which is y equals 2x plus b. And I can pick either set of numbers I want to plug in for x and y. I'm going to use the first set here, so I'm going to plug in a 2 for x. And I'm going to plug in my 3 for y, right there. Make sure that you remember that the x shows up first as a point, but it shows up second in the equation. So you put the x on the right hand side of the equation. So here I get 4 plus b, and then I subtract 3 from both sides, and I get b or I subtract 4 from both sides, I guess I should say. So if I subtract 4 from both sides to get b by itself, I end up with b equal to 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So my final answer, I take that value for b and I write it in the equation. I get 2x minus 1, and we're pretty happy about that. And then I do the same thing with the last one here. First thing I'm going to do is find the slope. So find the slope, find m, and I'm going to label the points x1, y1, x2, y2. You know, you might want to reverse them and just see if you still get the same slope when you do that. You should. So here I have 2 minus 0, y2 minus y1, and then x2 is 3 minus x1 is 6. So I get 2 over negative 3, or y equals negative 2/3 x plus b. And to find b, so part 2, I have to find b. I'm going to plug in an x and a y. I think I'll just use this one. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to plug in a 0 for y, and I'm going to plug in a 6 for x. And negative 2/3 times 6, that ends up giving me negative 4. And I am completely out of room here, so let's see if we can shrink that a little bit. But I don't want to shrink that. Whoa, made that too big now. Okay, there we go. Talking to myself. Okay, so I multiply that out. I get 0 equals negative 4 plus b. And when I add 4 to both sides, I get b equals 4. So my final answer would be y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. All right? Now, we've done the more challenging things. Now we're going to do the things that are more exciting. We're going to actually take the equations and graph them, okay? So just remember that this is your starting point, and this is how far up you go, and this is how far to the right you go. The only thing is, if you have a negative, you actually move down instead of up, but we always go left to right. So I'm going to start on the y-axis, and make sure you start on the y-axis. You're going to start at negative 2, and you're going to move down 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to move right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and connect those dots just like so. And I would actually go down 5, right 4 a couple more times if I had room. I don't really have the room to do that, or I would. Okay, so let's look at the next one. I'm going to start on y at negative 5, and I'm going to go up 2 and right 3. And this time I will go up because there's no negative sign. In the other problem there was a negative sign, so I always put it on the top and I move down. But here I don't have a negative sign, so I'm going to start at negative 5 for B, and I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to go right 3, 1, 2, 3, and since I have room, I'll do it again, up 2 and right 3, and up 2 and right 3, and then just connect those dots with a nice smooth line. My line wasn't so good because my last point wasn't so great, and that's all you do. And then if we look at this one, I don't have anything in front of the x, so I'm going to write negative 1 over 1. And this would tell me to go up, except because it's negative, I'm going to go down 1, and I'm going to go right 1. So if there are no numbers in front of the x, or if there's only one number in front of the x, you can add a 1 to the front, and you can add a 1 to the denominator also if you need to. And by the way, if there's no number after the x, then we start at 0 on the y-axis. So if there wasn't a number here, we'd start at 0. But we're actually going to start at negative 4 on y. So start on y at negative 4. And move down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And connect those dots. And then this one, I have a negative 2. So I'll write negative 2 over 1. And I'm actually, even though I've written the word up, because there's a negative, the negative I attach to the top and move down 2, but I always move left to right. So I'm going to start at 3 on y and move down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. And connect the dots. Okay, so that's how you graph, and I hope you found that helpful.